to me, the saying shooting fish in a barrel. I mean, is there a more shooting fish in a barrel thing than selling ice cream on Bondi Beach? I mean, that has got to be the easiest sales job in the world, hasn't it?
Hey everybody, it's John Lamberton here alongside my good friend and business partner, Mr. Jason Brockman. We are here for another episode of the Ambitious Lifestyle Business Podcast, where as always, it is our job to help you get more customers and make more money without just working harder. So without further ado, let's dive straight into this month's episode.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whenever and wherever you are listening to another episode of the Ambitious Lifestyle Business Podcast. Once again, Jason and I are here with another ambitious lifestyle business owner. It is September, so the doors to the 1% Club are open. Only, of course, if you are listening to this in the month of September, or indeed March, if you're listening outside of those little windows. No, it's not open. You can, as always, find more information about the club if it's March or September. You can sign up on the website, bigidea.co.uk. Just follow the little button there that says 1% Club. And if it's outside the window, you can find a bit more information. Jace, as always, at this time of year, we like to say who should or shouldn't join the 1% Club.
We do, don't we? Yes. So those who should, is it easier to do the shouldn't? I don't know. So yeah, those who should join the 1% Club. So those ambitious lifestyle business owners, perhaps you've not quite got that ambitious or that lifestyle right now, but you need some help getting there, improving your business 1% every week. That's our job to kind of help you on that path. So if that sounds like you and what you'd like to do, then that 1% Club is probably for you. If you're rolling the dice at the last chance saloon, your business is going down the drain, we're probably not going to help you because you're too far past that. If you're a little bit lazy and can't be bothered to do much of the stuff that we ask you to do, that's probably not a good time.
I think a little bit lazy is fine. It's very lazy.
If you're not really coachable, if you're not really mentorable, then we're probably not for you either, because you need to kind of listen to what we're asking you to do, or looking at what you're doing, listening to other members of our 1% Club, of which there are lots with loads more experience than us in lots of different sectors. So if you're not willing to listen, then that's probably not for you either. That's a good little summary, John, is it?
I think so, absolutely. It reminds me of my favourite coaching joke, which was my coach told me I was not coachable. I thought, well, I already know that. Anyway, today's guest is coachable and is a 1%er. So today's guest is Alastair Imray. And Alastair started his business with no qualifications and no money, but a determination to start his own business. Alastair proved that hard work, determination, constant learning, constant never-ending improvement. There's a bit of a theme with this podcast, isn't there? And never giving up has been the key to running a successful business. For those who are listening to an audio version of the podcast, you will not know that Alastair is wearing a Nike t-shirt. So in terms of, he is our version of Phil Knight. He is Mr. Shoe Dog. Alastair, welcome to the Ambitious Lifestyle Business Podcast.
Hi there. Good morning. The actual Nike, that's the just do it, but that's perhaps the most important bit of wearing this top today. So this will become clear throughout the podcast. But it's the just do it. It's a big thing for me, is just do it.
Yeah.
So first of all, a bit about myself. I run a flooring company, and it hasn't always been that way. I've always been in flooring, so to speak, in my business career. And first of all, I can say I've had a great life, to be honest. I've done lots with my life. I'm quite actually proud of myself now, what I've done in my life. I'm a very positive person, and this is spurred on from reading The Secret. This was perhaps 10 years ago, and when I started off carpet cleaning, the carpet cleaning world, everyone was reading The Secret. And this was perhaps my sort of midlife crisis, when just discovering, what's it all about. So if anyone's not read that, it's a great read to actually work out about positivity and so on. So after school, I went to Glasgow Caledonian University and study civil engineering, in which I failed. So after 3 years, they turn and says, you failed, you can't resit. And that was quite shameful, the fact that my parents supported me through that time. And basically, I was out, and that was, So I took that time to get my head in gear and went with 3 friends. We travelled around Europe by interrailing. Again, a brilliant time. going in with friends, just having a ball. So when I got back from Europe, I had to work in an office. And like John, I worked in an office for 2 years, and it's the worst job of my life. Office politics, my goodness, I just couldn't be bothered with it. So I did my turn. I did my turn in the office, but again, it's not for me. So then I decided to go to Australia. So I did the backpacker thing and went to Australia for 1 year, meant to be. Had a great time. So basically, I had several jobs. One of them was selling ice cream Bondi Beach. I was a labourer, delivering wheelie bins, just anything to earn money. So then I saved up and bought an old 4.2 litre V8 Holden Kingswood and travelled up the east coast of Australia. And this is probably the best time of my life. I was young and free, no commitments at all, nothing on my mind, no stresses, and went up the coast and had the best time. There's, again, the talk amongst the backpackers, if you get up to Cairns, there's no jobs there, and I wanted to go and spend a bit of time in Cairns, but a bit of determination, and I managed to get 2 jobs. So I was a gardener, a living gardener, so I got fed and I got accommodation in order to do the garden. I had no idea what I was doing. And also got a job in a strip club, not as a stripper. I was the cleaner and the barman and did everything. And that was a very eventful sort of time and an eye-opening time there as well. So after doing travels back in Bondi, this is where I spent most of my time in Australia, and I started working for Bondi Removals. So this is when I started to see a bit of a hustle in me. So a lot of people, when they're moving house, they're getting rid of furniture, or do you want this stuff? And I used to take it all and sell it all on. So it was a mattress, a fridge, anything at all I would sell on. Every couple of months in Sydney, they do like an amnesty where you can put all your rubbish in the street, and the bin lorries come in and collect it. And this was a gold mine for me. So I used to go around with the truck and basically see anything I could sell. And in Bondi, there was a shop window. It was $2 to put an advert on. I put an advert on. If I scored something, you'd call it, and I'd sell mattresses, fridges all day long to backpackers. I used to earn a lot of money. Again, when I was maybe travelling again, I had a garage sale in the house. So a lot of the stuff that I'd scored maybe hadn't sold then. I'd done a big garage sale, and this is maybe I learned a bit more about marketing and advertising. So made up a leaflet and I put bullet points and I put a map on where the house was. And we put it in lampposts everywhere, put it in the shop windows, and it was meant to start at 9 o'clock on the Sunday. And by 7 o'clock, there was people in our house trying to get bargains before everything started. So
oversubscribed already.
Absolutely. And it was mental. And probably in a backpacker's house with about a dozen people sleeping there, and there's people traipsing over mattresses, beds. Unfortunately, I was leaving, but the house was getting kept on. And the TV was mine, so I sold the TV, unfortunately. So they had no TV after I left. But that's just unfortunately the way it was. So I'd sort of done my time in Australia. I had a great time. As I say, I had a year visa, but I stayed for 4.5. So unfortunately, I took a 2-year ban from Australia because I'd overstayed, but it was worth every penny. It was worth every minute of it, to be honest.
Are you allowed back now?
I can go back now. I'm sure I'd be all right now, but I think I'd be a wee bit nervous going through security, through the border control in case they...
If your photo's still like on immigration, there's like, do not admit this, man.
But it was worth it. Loved it. So then I ended up back in Edinburgh, back doing furniture removals in Edinburgh. Again, no money, had a very tough job, doing removals and a lot of tough guys you're working with. And I remember I used to get wound up, and the guys used to... It's the mentality of working in like a building site or working with these... It's a tough atmosphere. And I used to get wound up and want to fight people, and people winding you up and all that sort of stuff. And the actual warehouse man came up and said to me, he says, look, you're lowering yourself to these guys' levels. Just F them. Just that's all you think about. Just F them. Don't lower yourself to their level. And from that day on, I did. And I never got wound up, and I just let it all brush over me, and it changed my approach on a lot of things after that. So this was in Edinburgh, and this was back, I bought a house, and this was back in the time when it was easy to get a mortgage, so to speak. So 6 weeks after buying a house, my fiance up and left. So it's leaving me with a house and thinking, my God, how am I going to pay for this? And I was still going to the pub every night pretty much and so on. So this is when I sort of started to knuckle down a wee bit, like, what am I going to do here? How am I going to do this? So I was out in Motherwell, out in Glasgow, and met my wife on a night out, and then very quickly we fell in love and moved in together and so on. So I started renting my house out in Edinburgh, and then I was realising that it was increasing 10% a year, the property in Edinburgh, £100,000 house. I knew it was making £10,000 a year. So I rented it out, even though it was very, very tricky and I was getting trashed. But I knew then that it was making me basically like almost £1,000 a month. So as much as it was skint, I knew that was in the back of my mind. So through in Wishaw, driving a skip lorry, very low paid, and of course we're getting married now, so I had to do a lot of second jobs. So again, hustle. I was worked in a bowling club as a barman. I used to help my friend do removals. I used to collect scrap iron. So again, if there's anything in the back of a skip, I'm in there. So I used to scrap iron. So right the back of my wife's house, there was all this scrap iron. Also, for the Scottish iron brew bottles, I don't know if you're aware of iron brew bottles, but you used to get 20p a ton. As you were young, you used to go and try and look for iron brew bottles. But again, used to find quite a lot in skips. So that was another thing to try and save money. I also was a limo driver, stretch limo driver for about 3 years at this point. And that was it. When I was doing the limos, I used to collect all the money and have the money, and I loved holding the money at the end of the night. It wasn't mine. I had a very small, small cut of it, but I just loved this money. I kept counting it and so on. So I was getting addicted to sort of seeing all this money and so on. So at this time, again, because I was working every weekend, working a full-time job, that our treat was a Tuesday night in Witherspoons for a steak night. And that was it, because it was working full the time. But again, we saved up for the wedding. We had a great honeymoon in Dubai and Mauritius and all that, so it did pay off. So this was sort of just before I got married. I was thinking about starting a business. So it was either going to be a removal man, or after my mum got her carpets cleaned once, I found out how much it cost, and I thought, that's interesting. So I then decided to start working for a carpet cleaner. So I then learned how to clean carpets, so to speak. And after about a couple of months, I said to the owner, I says, look, I'm thinking about maybe starting a business. And he sacked me on the spot. So this is 3 weeks before the wedding. And then God, so I basically sold my car, and I bought a carpet cleaning machine off my overdraft. Again, went to honeymoon, came back, and then like, right, how am I going to get customers? So again, this is probably learning marketing the hard way, having no money and so on. So this is back in the day of advertising in the paper and Yellow Pages. And so the paper, again, investment, but it definitely paid off. And the Yellow Pages was a biggie. Back then, it was very expensive, and you would pray that when it came out in that book that you had a good position. And this was also the time that I used to do lots of leaflets. So I used to go into the local printing place and get a bit of A4, and I would write up my leaflet and get it cut into 4. It was the cheapest way of doing it, and it was the old pink paper. So the pink was maybe the colour that women would most likely have a read at. So that women was my customer. So I'd done tens of thousands of leaflets doing this. And also I got a job delivering Thomson Local. The actual, the books like Yellow Pages, and I used to put my leaflet into it. So it was getting paid for delivering my leaflets. I used to get bitten by dogs quite a lot, actually. Because it's a small leaflet, you've got to push it through the door. And if you look at my fingers, I've got multiple scars over by getting bitten by dogs. So I was getting wise to this. So I had a fish spatula, So I used to push this through. So as once I was doing the leaflets, the dog bit my spatula. Took the spatula in the house as well. So this woman's coming home with a carpet cleaning leaflet and a spatula in her front doorstep. So But tens of thousands of leaflets again. So again, when I started carpet cleaning, I was still doing these odd jobs. I was still doing the limo driving and helping a friend doing the removals. So just try to keep getting work. I started, Facebook was getting a bit more popular. So doing a lot more posts, live videos, and I used to include my family quite a lot in this. Because I had a young family now, we'd do live videos and get the kids involved. People buy from people, and they like the fact that, you know, they could trust me because I was there with my kids. And when I turned up to people's doors, it felt like they already knew me. So advancing with business, trying window cleaning and stuff like that. So again, I had the marketing skills a bit better now, but I just didn't like collecting the money. I didn't like going out at the weekends and evenings. This was my family time, so I didn't like collecting the money. So again, I knocked that in the head. Again, I tried contract cleaning. So again, this was going okay with the marketing. And I always remember my first interview for the cleaner was outside the Greggs in a shopping centre on a park bench. So it was for me, but you know, this is what you had to do. So again, it was cleaners constantly letting you down. I couldn't do a proper business because if they didn't turn up, I couldn't go in because I had my commitment with my kids and so on. So again, knocked it in the head. So this is when I started venturing into specialised floor cleaning, restoration, marble polishing, and so on. So I did a training course at New Life Floor Care and teaching about marble polishing. And this is when the guy taking the course played, sat down, lights off, put on a video, and it was Art Williams, Just Do It. And this is a pivotal moment for me. And some people might think it's like just a guy ranting on and so on. And again, I think we're going to put it in the link here, so watch it. And to me, it was just do it. If you're thinking, how many people say, I'm going to start my own business, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. They'll never do it. Just do it. That's the way I look at it. Just do it. As long as you've got a bit of, it's an educated gamble, then just do it. That's the way I think. People put things off. So anyway, so this is, I'm now starting to, again, the marketing's coming off. I've got a website going and all that sort of stuff. I got approached by the Glasgow Hilton in Glasgow, and they wanted me to look after 360 square metres of marble. And I'm like, I've done the training. I've never actually done it. So I said, yeah, absolutely, no problem. I'll come and do a test batch. Yep. So went in, and my shiny equipment never been used. Did the test patch, and you don't know if marble polishing is going to work right to the last stage. So I'm like, absolutely tapping it, thinking, oh my God, loads of people around. It was 11 o'clock at night, and they did the last stage, and it was perfect. It was absolutely crystal clear. So I was so chuffed. And then, of course, that reminds me of the answer is yes. Now, what's the question? And this is, I used to do this a lot. Can you do this? Absolutely no problem. And I'd have to go home and YouTube and Google what the hell they were talking about. So, and again, a lot of people are probably like this as well, but I would never turn a job down. I would always do it. And I had a girl working at this time, and she used to say that the bull used to just flow off my tongue. And I was starting to become a good salesman. I had the talk and so on. But again, I got the contract, and that sort of was a pivotal moment of my life as well. I started doing night shifts, doing this myself. And again, they called me, and a year later, they wanted to speak about the contract. And I was like, I'm going to lose this contract. But then they actually says, right, we want to double your hours. So I think that was one of these crying moments, which was great. Again, started getting into marble, getting Italian connections around Glasgow. And once you can sort of get in with some of these Italians, the word all spreads, they're all related. They're all pretty much, that's my cousin. So I got a lot of work that way as well. Again, trying to branch out of wood floor sanding, which, again, another type of flooring. So I took a loan out, bought a bigger van and bought the equipment, and again, learning from YouTube and from a supplier. So I started doing a little bit of wood floor sanding, nothing, much really. Again, I was probably thinking about starting to sell flooring. So I spoke to a guy called Pierre de Wet in the carpet cleaning world. He is a big name for being very successful. So I managed to phone up, speak to him, and he's South African, and he's like, you will fail, you will fail. So it's basically straight to the point. And he says, you need to, you're too soon for that. So the best advice he said to me was get an Audible account and start listening to books. So that's what I did. And at this point, I got a mentor. So in the carpet cleaning world, there was a girl, Daisy, who was ever there, and she was trying to promote a business, but she was young and she was switched on. So I approached her and to see if she would mentor me. And she'd never done it before, but you can see something in somebody. So she agreed to yes. So what we did was through transparency, she says, I know everything about your business, pardon me, what part of your business brings in what money. So we went through everything. And we worked out that wood floor sand in Glasgow was the sort of main thing that brought in the money. So basically we went all in pretty much on wood floor sand in Glasgow. So it's similar marking to carpet cleaning, but the average job is now like £1,000 and not £85. So it made sense to go all in for it, so to speak. So I didn't know at the time, but I was getting pumpkin planned by Mike Michalovich. And anyone who doesn't know what this is, if you're a pumpkin farmer, this is a very American, if you're a pumpkin farmer and you've got a field full of pumpkins and you're wanting to grow a prize pumpkin, you don't look after them all. You work out which is your biggest and best, and you water that and you feed that, and that's the one that's going to give you the prize, give you the money. So that's basically what we refer in the 1% Club as pumpkin plans, and that's my pumpkin. So basically wood floor sand in Glasgow specifically was my pumpkin, and we went all in. And so basically, because people designed me websites before, I decided to learn how to do them myself. So again, with Ron's website, the Panda update, which was one of the Google, and it just wiped out a website, and I paid people to try and fix it, and I just get, they never did it. So I'd learn how to design websites. So when I was at my son's gymnastics, I'd take my computer and I'd watch YouTube videos and I would learn it. So I built a website. It's not very pretty, but to be honest, it does the job. And that website that I built at my son's gymnastics has brung in well over £1 million worth of turnover. So again, people have said to me, oh, that looks crap and so on, but I'm scared to touch it because it's a money-making machine. So again, Google Business is so much underestimated, but people getting reviews, and it's very simple to get reviews and learn how to rank. So I studied this, and we constantly ask people for reviews because it works and it gets you ranked better and so on. Daisy and I would set up goals every month. This is with a mentor. This is before the 1% Club, and we'd set up monthly goals, and every month, I would smash it. She bought me my sort of first book, which I never read because I'm not a good reader, but I listened to it on Audible. But it was The E-Myth by Michael Gerber.
Oh, brilliant.
So this was starting to think, right, okay, this is starting to sort of click in a wee bit. Systemizing. I thought that was just a word before, but systemizing things and hiring people to do the jobs, and this is when we got Asana. Anybody who doesn't know what Asana is, other platforms out for this, a great organizing tool. And it just systemized everything, organized everything, reminders, jobs, chasing people. So it was brilliant. So I was starting to make a bit more money then. And I was now in a position to open the flooring shop. So the suppliers would say, right, okay, you get the keys and then we'll speak to you and all that sort of stuff. So got the keys, and I remember cleaning up the shop, getting ready for the opening, and I was listening to a book called Big Ideas for Small Businesses by, I think it was John Lammerton. And
Never heard of him.
To be honest, this was another clicking moment where I would say this is a UK version of the E-Myth. And this is the E-Myth is very American. A lot of the books you read are very American, but it's good to get a British sort of spin on books and so on. So I found this very appealing, and it did help me a lot as well. And it's good to hear less American faff, so to speak. So although a lot of American books are really good, but somebody speaking a British accent, I think, is a bit more, it sinks in a bit more. So I got my keys from the flooring shop on the 14th of February 2020. So what could go wrong? So basically, COVID, absolute nightmare. I got this shop. I had a few guys working for me doing the floor sanding now, and basically I had to go back on the tools. They were all furloughed. And then it's getting closer to open up the flooring shop, and I couldn't get suppliers. They weren't ready to come round. So I managed to get what I could just to open up the shop, but it's not what I was wanting. But at least I could open the shop. But I had stuff. It wasn't high-end stuff. I wanted to go high-end. So I managed to open. So again, I'm now in the 1% club. I can't remember if it was in March or September 2020. Probably was September. I can't remember. So, and I started, well, first of all, I got an email video from John. I'm thinking, right, here we go. Here's a generic video. And he says, "Hi, Alastair, I'm at." So it was a welcome video, and it actually mentioned my name, which I thought was brilliant. And I was thinking, right, there's going to be a cut somewhere where it's generic, but it wasn't. It was a full video, and it actually made my day, to be honest. So I know it's the simple things, but it was actually good that somebody, you know, that you've been hearing about, reading the book, and actually when you joined, it was it was great, to be honest. So it's now in the 1% club, and I love the group calls, and it's great to see people with a similar mindset. As a carpet cleaner, before there was lots of forums, and pardon my French, but they're full of arseholes. They're full of people that just want to put you down and put you down. So in the 1% club, it's people with a similar mindset, people who are wanting to help you. So in the 1% clubs, it's more systemizing, more marketing skills. Again, these 1% gains, and we start to write down these gains. Sometimes you think, I'm not learning, but if you actually write down your 1% gains, it's amazing how much you've improved. Again, lots of books, and we talk about books on here, and you know, I'd go and listen to them. So one of them is the 80-20 principle, and it's a book by Richard Koch. I think that's right. And basically 80% of your money comes from 20% of your customers. So the key is to focus on these 20%. And I don't know, John, can you help me a bit about more about the principles of the 80-20 book, the principle?
Yeah, it is. I think it was originally the Pareto principle, but yeah, Richard Koch, one of my outward-facing books on this bookshelf behind me, for that exact reason, that it's been so powerful in my journey, but also with a lot of 1%ers, we see it whereby it's this idea that 20% of your effort leads to 80% of your results, and the reverse is the same. 80% of your effort leads to 20% of your results. This is the pumpkin plan in work, because actually you may apply the same effort to all of your pumpkins, and one is a little tiddler and one is a prize pumpkin. And it's this idea that actually it's separating effort from results, because the two are not correlated, and it's realizing that actually there is a disproportionate return on investment. And actually, if you could just reallocate some of your attention to the 20%, the small number of things that make a big difference, and say to hell with the big number of things that make a small difference, that's where you get a step change, I think, in your mindset, but also in your results.
Well, this is again from leading on from this is finding your avatar. So this is again from finding your niche, finding who your customer is, and basically focusing them. And mine's is, I've got two, Mr. and Mrs. Posh, perhaps done, you know, maybe paid their mortgage off, kids went to private schools, got disposable money, That's one. And Mr. and Mrs. Posh's kids, who have been to private school, they're buying their first property and so on, so they still like nice things. So these are my two sort of people that I focus on. And again, through the 80-20 principle and so on, is like, as opposed to doing leaflets, and now I can now do a landing page, which is now got the long-term return. Maybe not a short-term, but it's got long-term return, and it's got a better evergreen asset. Again, another book by John Lammerton, which we talk about a lot in the 1% Club. It's not just, you don't think about today, tomorrow, you think about the long term. So these landing pages, it maybe takes me half a day to do. And the return you can get on these landing pages, for example, wood floor sand in East Kilbride, wood floor sand in Livingston, it's copy and paste, change the text a wee bit, and it's crazy. As opposed to daily leaflets, you might get 2 jobs or something. So again, this is from my niche and working out what was working, what wasn't working. So the carpets, the vinyl, the laminate in the shop, they're not bringing enough money. What the guys have had to be as well, sanding floors and sticking to wood and sticking to some of the LVT, the luxury vinyl tiles. But again, there was the best product out there is called Antico flooring. And I spoke to the rep and I wanted it because it's the best. And he's like, no, you can't get it yet. There's somebody 10 miles away. I'm protecting my accounts. Very territorial flooring. So I was like, right, okay. I says, right, here's my diary. I'm going to schedule it for 3 months. I'm going to give you a call in 3 months. I'm not giving up. So he laughed about it. 3 months, we're still not in a position. Right, another 3 months. Right, I'll meet up and speak to you. So I'm getting excited. And he's like, nah, still not. I says, right, okay. There's my diary there, 6 months. So I just kept annoying him. And he found it quite funny, to be honest. I think he admired the determination. But again, it did pay off. Eventually, I think his parameters changed. I think maybe he changed from head office, but I eventually got Antico. So this is what I'm working on now. I wanted the best product to sell, because that's the market I'm going for. So eventually, determination did pay off for that. So again, money's going okay. I was looking to buy a house in Spain. And I was looking to buy this outright. So I was looking to save up for that. And then I've got a storage unit, and there's a scruffy man, hopefully he's not listening. There's a scruffy man who works here called Ian. And the more you get to know him, I've got a house in Spain. I'm like, all right, okay. You just think he's in there and he's probably like an alcoholic and he's got a guard dog and all that.
Just sleeps in the unit, yeah?
He does actually sleep there. He's got a house, he has got a place there, but surprisingly, he owns multiple property. He owns the yard outright. He owns so many retail units. Millionaire, if not a multi-millionaire. So again, he'd start talking to me about, no, you don't buy it just now. Mortgage it, and that money you can buy other properties. And he started talking about this compound interest and so on, and get your money working for you. So again, this is reading Psychology of Money and Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and basically understanding get your money working for you. So again, this is a bit of a game changer. Starting to get a bit of money and starting to think, right, how can this build me a better future and so on. So again, reading starting with why. Again, a lot of books we've talked about in 1% Club by Simon Sinek, and it's like, what am I doing? What is my purpose here? So I then came to the plan of getting X amount of properties, saving up with a few years. I've got a finish date in line, which is now 14 years, where I can retire if I want to, and I've got enough money then, which will not only secure my future, but my family's future too. So I'm in the process of building up to that. Again, another thing that's been helpful, the One Thing by Gary Keller.
Another forward-facing book on my bookshelf. There's a definite theme here, isn't there?
Yeah, it does work what you see sometimes, I think, it does sink in. But again, this is about the 90-day plan, I would say. In the 1% Club, we've got this 90-day plan. So you've got 90 days, 3 months, you break it down into each month, you break it down into each week, break it down in every day. And it's just a simple way to do it. And it is very effective. We've also, one of the good things we talk about is could-do lists and to-do lists. As a business owner, you're thinking, right, I've got all these ideas in my head, you write them down, right? How am I going to tackle them? So, and it's good in the 1% Club, you break it up, could-do list, and then you've actually got your to-do list. So your to-do list is a lot shorter. That's the stuff you're going to implement. could-do stuff is what you could implement. So again, these things all help boost your business and help sort of with your sanity as well. Sometimes it's organized. Again, through the 1% Club, the friction's a big word. And I think we actually, as a company, hate a customer phone up and saying, what about this? We try and beat them to it. Again, another book, They Ask You Answer, by Marcus Sheridan. And this is a book about, beat the customer to it. They don't need to go and find out. The information is right in front of you. So as a business, we really try to, so the customer can't ask any questions. So it's all, we've beaten them to it. So that was quite a big thing. Again, another book, I'm talking about books, but this is a big part of my progression, and is the books that have been recommended to you. It's, again, Purple Cow.
Oh, Seth Godin.
Seth Godin. And this is about being different. It's about not being beige. And I find this very difficult sometimes. It's hard to take a gamble, but you've got to be different. And is it James Caan from who wrote basically observe the masses and do the opposite. I think that's a great philosophy as well. And I try and be different, but I'm maybe not so brave to do it all the time. Again, being the 1% Club, we've had talks from Gerald Ratner, which in Falkirk growing up, there was a Ratners in there. And it was amazing to have this guy chatting to you. He's multi-millionaire private jets, and here he's chatting to us. And I got to ask him a question. I can't remember what the question was, but it was very inspirational seeing his story. Other inspirational people, we've got 1%ers. Again, I always go about Michael Lieberman, who has got he doesn't do a print. He does with prints. He's got a website which sort of
showcases other art galleries. That's what I'm looking for. Galleries and the prints that they have available, and he showcases them all in a big directory website, printededitions.com.
A subscription service, and he does his marketing. I think he'd finished when he's buttering his toast for breakfast. He's got his marketing all done. So I thought it was quite inspirational. And he sticks to his routine every morning, gets it done. He does other work as well, but his routine is done by breakfast time. And also Ian Block, because I'm trying to get into property. I think this guy's a madman. The fact that he takes gambles, he takes risks. He's talked about this in a podcast, but his in-laws' house, he basically bought it off them and remortgaged it to buy properties. So it's people that are inspirational to me, as well as other people. Again, books, other motivational people, grinding out the McDonald's story, Shoe Dog, and Kevin Bridges, Will Smith, Elton John, Kevin Hart. These are all people that have made it just by pure determination, just by really going for it. And I love my talks in the 1% Club with Jason. Again, I started off when I started getting sort of doing well for myself was by getting a mentor. And then Jason has taken over from that in the 1% Club. So every Thursday, we talk for 15 minutes. And anybody who doesn't do it, who's in the 1% Club, I think it's just throwing money down the toilet. Because it's great to have that accountability. And sometimes we might not have much to talk about, but there's always something. It's just keeping in touch, always doing it every single week. And we do have great talks, and we do. It does keep me in check, and it's a great. I think I called him a great tool, but it is a great.
I've called him a tool many times.
But it is brilliant, and to be honest, I'd really like to thank Jason for helping, listening, and so on. A book I've just read, The Ultimate Sales Machine by Chet Holmes, and not all I got from it's just pig-headed determination. If you want it hard enough, you've got to be determined, you've got to go for it, you've got to be obsessed by it. And I think the good thing about the 1% Club, it's not going to 10x, it's not going to be like you're working 16 hours a day. You've got to be determined, but they'll keep you in check. Jason keeps me in check, basically not getting too stressed, make sure I'm going for swimming, make sure when I go on holiday, if everyone's still working. So pig-headed determination is the key, I think, for me. You've just got to go for it.
And I love that. I absolutely think that's right about you, to be fair. Not that you're pig-headed, but that determination, absolutely. Thank you. I'll just get my own back for that tool reference again. The other thing I really liked is the fact that actually, I don't know how to do it, so I'm going to go and find out, and I'm going to go and find a way of doing that, whether that's reading a book or whether that's YouTube or wherever it is. I'm going to say yes, and I'm going to find out how to do that later. I love that bit about it as well. And I love the way that you've got other people to pay for that too, whether that's getting Thompson Directory's job paper round so you can post your leaflets and getting paid to do that, or whether that's getting a job with a carpet cleaner and learning the trade secrets. I know John's referred somebody to go and get a job, one of our 1%ers to go and get a job in a coffee shop because their aspiration was to become a good barista. It's like, well, the best way of doing that is get trained by the best that are kind of going
pay you to learn.
So it's getting paid to learn, which I think which is a great thing. So the Ambitious Lifestyle Business podcast is what we're called. What does an ambitious lifestyle business mean for you, Alastair?
I've got a few points. Being able to take my wife and kids on great holidays. I've taken them to Vegas, LA, Disney, 5-star hotels, Turkey and Cyprus, and these kids are like under 10 doing all these things. Not actively working weekends. During the week, I get to go for a swim. I get to go for an afternoon nap. These simple things like that. Never missing a school event. I take my kids to school every day and I'm there for them when they come home. Having a house in Spain where my business can run without me. Having properties which are going to sort out my future and my family's future. Having people to talk to. Being a business person, it is very lonely. It's people to speak to people of the same mindset. So it's great being part of the club, joining the group calls, getting to speak to Jason, to speak to like-minded people. Again, speaking to Jason every week, I think is great. Accountability, and even just to speak to somebody. And I know it's not like we're not it's good for your mental health as well. I'm sure when Jason does it, he probably gets a lot of venting from people. But I'm just going to finish it off again with my Just Do It. And it's Art Williams, and please watch it. This is quite monumental. Some people think it's maybe rubbish or whatever, but so Art Williams gets asked, what's the primary difference between winners and losers? He answers, the winners do it, they do it, they do it, they do it until the job gets done. And then they talk about how great it is to finally have achieved something good and how glad they are that they didn't quit like everyone else, and how wonderful it is to finally be somebody they're proud of and make a difference with their life. Thank you.
Thank you. You've summed up your ambitious lifestyle business really, really well there. And I think for those listening, you can hear the ambition, the 5-star hotels, the properties, but you can also hear the lifestyle, never missing a school event, going swimming during the week, not working weekends. For you, the listener, you need to find that balance. And it may be that if you're just starting out in your journey, you need more ambition and you need to hustle and you need to be jumping in those skips and just stealing junk off the streets to sell it. Or, I mean, to me, you know, the saying shooting fish in a barrel. I mean, is there a more shooting fish in a barrel thing than selling ice cream on Bondi Beach? I mean, that has got to be the easiest sales job in the world, hasn't it?
It was, and I used to have to wear a horrible shirt with loads of fruit on it, and it was quite embarrassing, to be honest. But
you did what you had to do, and this is the 80-20 principle. Is essentially you try everything, and you figure out what your return on investment is going to be. Is this something that you spend 80% of your time doing and gives you 20% return, or is it that disproportionate prize pumpkin that actually, oh my God, this is not an £85 job. This is a £1,000 job. You try lots of stuff, figure out what works, and just do more of it. But just do it. And we should trademark that. I think just do it. Don't think anyone's got that trademark yet, have they? Don't sue us, please, Phil. We love you.
If I can get Michael Jordan's money, then I'll be happy with that.
Absolutely fantastic. Thank you ever so much for joining us, Alastair. It's been an absolute privilege talking to you. And obviously, as I said, 1% Club doors are open for listeners if you are listening in the month of September. You can join Alastair on a call. You can be towed by me to go and get a job in a coffee shop if you'd like. Or we can help you to design your business to deliver your own ambitious lifestyle. Alternatively, we will see you, or you will see us, or we will hear you. No, you will hear us next month. Is that right?
Take care, everyone. Goodbye.
Bye.
So there we are, another episode in the can. How was it for you? Please let us know. However you listen to these podcasts, please leave a review on that platform. Let us know what we can do better, what you like, what you don't like, and how we can improve to make this show even better for you. We'll see you next time.